I used to tell myself it didn't matter. That birthdays were just another day. That maybe, deep down, they just forgot. But lies have a way of turning sour in your mouth after years of swallowing them. Because when your family throws golden, glittering parties every year for your brother and forgets yours every single time, it's not forgetfulness. It's cruelty. My name is Blair, and I was born 3 years before my brother, Mason. My mother used to call me her quiet child. My father called me the mistake. Mason, though, he was the sun around which they all orbited. The miracle baby. The golden boy who never did wrong. Every year, his birthday was an event, champagne, photographers, the whole house glowing like a palace. I remember once, they even hired a small orchestra. For an 8-year-old. And me? I got a maybe next week, honey, we've just been so busy. I used to wait for next week. I used to wait for the cake that never came, for the candles that were never lit. I used to wait for the hugs that were never mine. But time has a cruel way of teaching you who's worth waiting for. The worst was when I turned 16. That year, they rented an entire venue for Mason's birthday, chandeliers, white roses, $1,000 suit. I stood in the corner that night, watching him blow out candles on a cake that cost more than my entire wardrobe. And when I looked at my mother, she smiled at him like he hung the moon. I remember whispering, my birthday was last week. She didn't even hear me. Or maybe she did, and just didn't care. After that night, something in me cracked. I stopped waiting. I stopped expecting anything. I went invisible, and in a house that worshipped perfection, invisibility was a curse and a weapon. Years passed. I left home at 19, carrying nothing but a duffel bag and a quiet rage I pretended was ambition. I built myself from the ashes they left behind, college, job, apartment. Every success I had, I imagined telling them. Every victory, I pictured their blank faces. But I never called. Not once. I wanted them to wonder where I went. I wanted them to remember what they lost. Then, 2 months ago, I got a call. My mother's voice, bolder, thinner, but still sharp as ever. Blair, sweetheart, she said, like the years hadn't happened, we're planning Mason's 30th birthday. Everyone's coming. You should too. It'll be good to see you. For a moment, I almost laughed. The irony of it all. The woman who never once remembered my birthday, inviting me to celebrate her precious son's milestone. I almost said no. But then something darker whispered, go. When you spend years being ignored, revenge doesn't come as fire, it comes as ice. Slow, deliberate, quiet. I knew what I had to do. When I arrived at the mansion, because yes, they still lived in that cold, gleaming palace, nothing had changed. The same marble floors, the same portraits of Mason smiling like a saint. The same smell of expensive perfume and emptiness. My mother greeted me with air kisses, my father with that polite nod he reserved for strangers. Mason? He hugged me like he was doing charity work. Wow, you look older, he said, like aging was an insult. But I smiled. I smiled so hard my jaw ached. Because they had no idea what was coming. The party was to be unforgettable, my mother said. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, a guest list full of people who barely knew Mason but wanted to be seen knowing him. I watched them all, the guests, the laughter, the endless toasts to my brother's brilliance. And inside me, a storm was gathering. What they didn't know was that I'd arrived a day earlier. I'd met the event coordinator, pretended to be helping. I'd found the master control system for the lighting and sound, the media projector, the playlist, everything. And I'd replaced one small, seemingly harmless USB file with another. When the moment came, the lights dimmed, the music softened, and my father took the microphone, my heart pounded in my chest. To our son, Mason, he said proudly, you've always been our greatest blessing. We're so proud of the man you've become. The crowd cheered. Mason lifted his glass, smiling like a movie star. And then the projector flickered to life. At first, it was supposed to be a slideshow, pictures of Mason through the years, from baby to man. But instead, the first image that appeared was a video, one from our childhood. Mason at 10, shoving me into a pool while everyone laughed. Then another, Mason tearing up my homework, calling me names while my parents ignored it. Then another, Mason at his 16th birthday, surrounded by gifts, as I stood in the corner alone, eyes red, holding a single cupcake I'd bought for myself. The room went silent. My mother gasped. My father's face drained of color. But I wasn't done. The next clip was me. Recent. I was speaking directly to the camera, my voice steady, calm, deliberate. This is what happens, I said, when a family decides one child matters and the other doesn't. You don't forget a birthday. You erase a person. You build your golden boy on the bones of someone you pretended didn't exist. Gasps echoed through the hall. The screen flickered between my words and images of Mason's cruelty, the arrogance, the bullying, the indifference. Then a final line, "Happy birthday, Mason." Don't worry, this year, I remembered. Silence. Heavy, crushing silence. Mason exploded first. "What the hell is wrong with you, Blair?" he shouted, storming toward me. His face was red, his perfect facade cracking for the first time. "You're insane." I looked him dead in the eye. "No," I said softly, "I'm finally seen." He tried to grab the mic, but the guests were already whispering. Someone filmed. Someone else left. My mother's perfect posture crumbled. My father muttered something about embarrassment. And me? I just walked to the door, calm as the winter air. "Blair," my mother screamed. "How could you do this to your own family?" I turned and smiled. "You did it first." I left them standing there in their glittering ruin, surrounded by the wreckage of their perfect image. The story spread online within hours. The video went viral, Golden Boy exposed. Sponsors dropped Mason's company. My father's firm faced scrutiny for some questionable deals I may or may not have hinted at. Revenge doesn't fix what was broken. But it does remind the world who broke it. 2 weeks later, I got a message from my mother. Just one line. "We never meant to hurt you." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because this year, for the first time in my life, I celebrated my birthday. Alone, yes, but free. I lit one candle. I made a wish. For years, I wanted them to remember me. Now, they'll never forget. But life, as it always does, had one more twist. A month later, I received a letter. It was from Mason. No insults, no arrogance. Just handwriting I barely recognized. "Blair. You were right. About all of it. I don't remember half of those things, but seeing them. I saw myself the way you must have seen me. I lost my job, my friends, everything. And maybe I deserved it. But I want to say this, I didn't forget your birthdays. Mom told me you didn't want parties. She said you hated attention. I believed her. I'm sorry. If you ever want to talk, I'll be here." I stared at the letter for hours. The air around me felt heavy, unreal. Because for the first time, the golden boy wasn't shining, he was human. I never wrote back. Not because I hated him. But because sometimes, revenge isn't about making them pay. It's about making them see. And he saw. That was enough. This year, when my birthday came, I didn't wait for anyone. I booked a small cabin by the sea, brought a cake, and lit 31 candles. The flame flickered against the window as the waves crashed outside. I looked at that little light and thought, this is what survival looks like. Quiet. Steady. Bright. I whispered, "Happy birthday, Blair," and for the first time, it felt real. Because sometimes, the sweetest revenge is peace.